1. I went into Aldi on my normal route through the mess of the middle aisles and assortment of food I need. I get to the checkout, and as I pull up with my trolley full to the brim, the checkout adjacent closes, while serving one more customer. Now, the policy in Aldi is that if the queue is over a certain distance, they reopen them. It was quiet. I had noticed a woman behind me with 4 items in her trolley, 2 flowers, onions, and a newspaper. I remember random stuff. I was going to let her in front, but today I really couldn't be bothered. I was tired, and I can match and beat the Aldi packing speed. I continued to pack on my items as a few people joined the queue also. This meant the till that was closing had now reopened. The woman behind me, Karen, starts with,
"Well, that's a bit rude. I tried to join that queue, but they kicked me out of it." "Oh, I'm sorry,"
says an old lady who had just joined our queue.
"I'm cutting in front."
She does so whilst people glare. I continue with my shopping until I get to packing, giggling as my cashier is shaking his head. The woman continues her rant to the cashier, who had to be no older than 20.
"Excuse me, but it's incredibly rude to close the checkout then reopen it. I'd like to speak to a manager."
"I'm sorry, it's just the rules."
"I don't care if it's the rules. It's incredibly rude to kick me out of the queue, then proceed to stay open whilst I have to queue behind a large trolley."
"Oh, I do apologise, but I can't help but follow the rules."
"I don't care, I want a did you just throw my onions on the floor? That's horrific behaviour. Manager, now!"
"Well, I could get them, but I'm sorry, it slipped off." By this point, everyone is staring. I saw the onions just slide off. It's a metal end with no guard. It does that sometimes. I continued packing, giggling with other customers at the horrendous behavior of this woman. Then I went to the side after paying to place my items into the IKEA bags. An amazing bag.
"Where is the manager?"
The manager comes up. "Excuse me, I heard there was an issue."
"Yes, this brat has had the worst attitude towards me. She's been foul in her behaviour, and even more with her lies."
I just pack and listen as the Karen rails off into the poor girl. I stop when she says something, though.
"Enough people witnessed it all go down."
That was it, my moment. When the Karen was starting to leave, I tapped the manager's shoulder, asking to speak with him. He nodded and said, of course.
"Are you talking about me?"
The woman stopped and glared at me. Now, I am not confrontational in any way. I stick my head down and try not to be involved. My mother is named Karen, literally, so I keep to myself. However, I do get bursts of anger moments, which I try to control, but couldn't. Yes, I am, but it's private, and I think the manager would like to hear other opinions before debating what to do.
"I would love to hear this."
Sure. The lady, then I proceed to tell the incident, but get interrupted.
"Not what happened."
"What?"
"That's not what happened, you didn't see it."
I turned around, so I did.
"You saw everything?"
Now she was taking the piss out of me a little because I stuttered. Yes, I did, Karen. I called her that before my brain knew it. Too much entitled people stories. The Karen was a little loud, as half the people at the checkouts and packing away laughed loud. I blushed madly, realizing what I had done, but stood my ground. Please don't—
"What now?"
Don't interrupt me. I don't know who brought you up with manners, but I'm only 21, and I seem to have more than you, so shut up for a minute. I continue telling what happened, and the manager nods before the woman huffs.
"I'm not coming here again."
I don't know what you expected, but it's an Aldi, not Selfridges, an expensive shop in the UK, especially to someone who lives in the northeast. Karen stormed off, and I stood on shaky legs processing what happened. I had never done that, and tears threatened my eyes. Thanks. People like her make working retail hard. It's fine, are you okay? I asked the awesome worker. Yes, thank you, that was awesome. I continued packing and texting my partner, shaking my legs and trying to avoid tears. My knees got weak, but a woman patted my shoulder. She looked a lot older than I. Gosh, kid, you got some guts there. You had half the queue gossiping and then laughing when you called her Karen. Have a good one. I finished packing and headed out to where two people my age were laughing and congratulating me as they saw Karen come out huffing and puffing. No, I didn't get vouchers or discounts. I got my cheese strings and left, needing to be home to feed my cat. Meow. 2. My job is quite time-consuming, with a standard shift of mine more often than not starting at 10 a.m. and ending at 9 p.m. A single shift pretty much consumes my entire day, with me working 5 days a week, or sometimes 6 depending on which rotation we happen to be on that week. Needless to say, I enjoy my days off, so I was relieved when June rolled around and I had a week's vacation scheduled for a much-needed break. Rather than traveling anywhere for vacation, I simply wanted to spend that time at my apartment's pool, with cold beer, easy music on the speaker, and my feet up. Enter EM and her kids. There I am, one beautiful summer's afternoon, lounging by the pool, catching some rays, and not a care in the world. At one point, I glance over to the other side of the pool and see two kids, probably no older than 7 or 8 each, with a glass bottle accompanied by their mom. Now, the pool has a few generic rules: no running, no food, no smoking, etc. However, these aren't really enforced. The only rule that is 100% absolutely enforced is no glass in the pool area. Reason being, if glass breaks in the pool area, not only is it a hazard for everyone walking around barefoot, but maintenance has to assume that glass got into the pool itself, and they will have to drain the pool to remove the glass from it. With that being both a timely and costly procedure for the apartment complex to do, they won't refill the pool for the rest of the season. They only want to drain it once and won't refill it again. So for the benefit of everyone's safety, as well as not having the pool be drained months before pool season is supposed to end, the leasing office and staff actually encourage tenants to enforce this rule among one another to ensure it's followed. I walked on over to them. "Hey guys, is that a glass bottle you've got there?" The kids nod. "Okay, I only ask because the staff says they don't want those in the pool area, because they could break, and they'll close the pool down for the season if that happens." "My aunt owns all these buildings," says the entitled mom, gesturing to the apartment complex. "You don't have to be the glass bottle police. They're being careful." Now, in my head, I'm immediately questioning her claim that her aunt owns these buildings, as the apartment complex is owned by a property management company that oversees many different buildings, houses, apartments, and is definitely not just one person, as she dismissively described it as initially. Well, I'm on vacation, and I'm not going to take any more time out of my day to argue about the validity of her statement, nor make a further fuss about the glass. So I shrugged and went back to my chair on the other side of the pool. I'm not going to spend my much-cherished time off to argue pool rules with a Karen, when that's the staff's job to do. I did, however, shoot the apartment super, Miguel, a text saying that a big sign on the door to the pool saying "no glass, no exceptions" wasn't an obvious enough indication, since there's people who just ignore the rules because their aunt owns the buildings. Now, Miguel's a cool guy. He's hung out at the pool with us several times and has always been good about repairs, accommodations, and anything else the tenants need. He was not happy about this because he's heard the "we're being careful" or the "it's nowhere near the water" excuse many times, and can't believe that so many people can't follow one simple rule. This has been a recurring issue at the pool for some time now. He tells me he has the day off, otherwise he would come on down and tell them himself they can't have glass in there. But he texts the leasing office manager Hannah about it and says she would take it from there. At this point, the three had already left. So I thought it was all in the rear-view mirror. Why was I wrong? About 5 minutes later, I notice EM coming back to the pool with a bit of a stride in her step, heading to me specifically. Here we go. I think to myself, seeing where this was heading from a mile away.
"Hey,
Yes?
my aunt just called me telling me not to do that. Was that really necessary? You're so fucking stupid."
Seeing the error in her statement, I kindly correct her. Handsome.
"No, you're fat and you're ugly. Bet you got teased about it in high school."
Actually, I was more or less busy in high school learning how to do basic things like reading and writing. And now I can read things like that sign on the entrance that says no glass, no exceptions. Do you know how to read at all, Ms.? EM turns beet red and storms off, muttering something under her breath that I can't quite make out. But I just head on back to my corner, thinking about getting back to enjoying my vacation. Only now I see Hannah coming out of the leasing office and heading my way. I meet her at the pool entrance. She tells me that Miguel texted her about the glass at the pool, and that she immediately knew who they were. It turns out EM's aunt didn't own the buildings as EM said she had, but rather just ran the front desk, answering the phone for the holding company that actually owned the complex. EM's aunt had called Hannah and asked her to let EM and the kids in the pool for the day. Once Hannah got the text from Miguel about the glass, she called the aunt and relayed the message, which in turn resulted in EM getting a call from her aunt, telling her to get rid of the bottle. I apologize for creating such a shitstorm for Hannah, because I didn't think it would get that out of hand. But Hannah assured me I was completely in the right, and thanked me for being vigilant about safety hazards. I'm delighted to say this story has a happy ending. The air conditioning unit in my apartment wasn't bad, but it was old and not kicking off as much cold air as it could have. I was in the process of looking at new AC wall units I could purchase and replace my current unit with. I had mentioned this to Hannah and asked if management would be willing to send maintenance to my apartment to help install it once I got it. After this fiasco, Hannah arranged to have a new AC installed the next day on management. Got a new air conditioning unit for telling an entitled Karen that she has to follow the rules just like everyone else. Sounds good to me. 3. This happened when I was a kid, and I remember it to this day. As a kid, and to this day, I had a humongous die-cast collection, which had my two favorite models, BMW M3 E92 Touring DTM. It had an aerodynamic spoiler, so that will be important later. Audi RS5 Touring DTM, which as well had an aerodynamic spoiler. I was hanging out with another friend. As usual, we made a die-cast car meet in a room we usually hang out in. The BMW and Audi were on a small wooden ledge that was under a big window. We didn't use them, as it didn't fit the size. There was a realistic DIY track as well, which we sometimes raced on. Okay, so we fully assembled our car meet and we were waiting for a new kid, which was my dad's friend's son. He arrived with a plastic bag and was acting as if he was the owner of the household. When he arrived in the room with the die-cast collection, he slammed a plastic bag on the floor. The plastic bag contained 2 plastic yellow tractors. He took them out and kicked one of the tractors into the car meet place, obliterating 2 die-cast models. Damages were windshield cracks and serious paint scratch. After that, he quickly ran over to another die-cast model that was in the car meet, and he slammed it with his feet, resulting in total collapse of this model. I tried to stop him, and yet he could smash it. Next, he took his tractor or excavator, whatever that was, and came up to the BMW and Audi. I quickly stand behind them, and my friend blocked the other side. He threw the tractor at my leg, but I slightly kicked it back, and the big part that was chained to the tractor, I don't know the name, fell off. He screamed like a crazy Wendigo, and ran over to the bag, which I tried to take away, but slipped on his tractor part. My friend ran to him. As we built this track with DIY, we used cardboard and stuff to build it, and he slams his bag with the other tractor against the track, which obliterates. Hours of our work collapsed to a petty yellow tractor excavator. This track was called the Estonia Speed Ring. Well, not so creative, but still. We yelled at him very much after that. Kid, what in the absolute hell are you doing? You ruined hours of our work with a single-hand move.
I do whatever I want. I don't care about you. I'm the king here.
You're not even the owner of this house.
I will stay here. It's mine now. You're my slaves.
He literally said this. The heck? Can you just relax and go play with your tractor? Said my friend.
Yeah, but I gotta do something.
The entitled kid whooped his bag, which was in his arm the whole time, and it flung to both BMWs and Audis. We yelled and ran there because not only it was one of my favorite cars, my friend as well very much liked it. For God's sake, stop!
I'll do anything I want.
I ran to him, but it was too late. He threw both the Audi and BMW at the floor so hard they collapsed. The wings slowly flew away, wheels broke down, and the plastic glasses popped out, roof going down, and it was just a horrendous show to see.
Now go fix my tractor.
Man, I'm tired of this. Go tell his parents, I'll keep an eye on him. Alrighty. I ran down the stairs over to his mom and said that the kid completely wiped out the whole thing. The mom ran over and saw and stared at this, then blatantly said, "How about we go get some ice cream?" We said fine, and thought as long as he doesn't step in the room, we'd be absolutely fine. He ate ice cream really disgustingly. The chewing sound was so awful. After that, me and my friend decided to ride an RC hoverboat on the lake. The house property was near a small lake. We took it there and controlled it around, then threw it in the bath for the water to drain from it. Then after we'd come back, surprisingly, the entitled kid was stuck to his parents now. He took out the RC and controlled it around the house. It was fine, but he crashed a lot, and the front hovercraft bumper came off. We yelled at him again, and he started crying. But luckily, 30 minutes after that, they drove back to their home. 4. When I was a teen, I used to babysit in my street. I was one of the rare teens around that had my babysitter class and all. My brother and I were also known to dog sit too. It's been more than 2 decades, so lots of the details are fuzzy. After a little while, EM came to me under recommendation, so I could babysit her kid. I remember her telling me she had difficulty finding a good babysitter to stay. We talked about my prices and my availability. I made it clear about my hourly rate, and that it would be an extra $5 after midnight. She said it was fine. So comes the first Friday night, and first is there she tells me that she has allergies. Okay, no problem, since I know how to use an EpiPen, and my mom is a nurse, and it's not that far if I need help. Second, she tells me his bedtime and all. Again, no problem. She also tells me she will be back before midnight and leaves me her cell phone number. So she leaves for her date night, and I start to talk with the kid, so I get to know him. It goes well. Until it's bedtime. It's where his brattiness comes out, and getting to bed is a battle. After a while, I managed to get him to bed, so I relaxed and watched TV. Hours pass, and I check my watch, and it's past midnight. I called on her phone and get a voicemail, asking her if she could let me know her ETA, and check if everything is all right. No dice. I continue to watch TV and keep checking my watch a few times. She finally comes home at 1:45 a.m. After a small talk, she pays me, and I notice some money was missing. There's some money missing. I was clear about my rates, and since it's past midnight, I should have an extra $10 in here. I'm sorry, I don't have enough right now. I'll give you the remainder next time. Okay. Spoilers. She never did. I just called my mom to pick me up. I had a talk with her, and she was a little annoyed with this. I kept babysitting for her for a few months, every 2 or 3 weeks, and things got worse. She kept paying me short after arriving after midnight every time. The kid got more difficult to get to bed and got aggressive with me. By the end, he yelled and punched me a few times. And she started to ask me to babysit during school nights, which I refused because I was still in high school and wanted to concentrate on my studies. So comes the last night I babysat. It was in the middle of winter in Canada. EM leaves with her date. Entitled child is being a huge brat, and I have difficulty getting him to calm down. When it came to bedtime, he didn't want to go to bed and yelled and punched. I managed to get him to bed. I watched TV and checked my watch a few times. At this time, I knew that calling her was useless because she never returned the calls. So they got back at 2:30 a.m., a record for her. Talked to her about what happened that night, and I got paid. I frown after noticing I'm short again. Yem, I'm short again, you know my rates, and you know there's an extra $5 per hour after midnight. I'm sorry, it's all I have. And I think the extra rate after midnight is unnecessary. No other babysitter asks me this. And no one ever told me my boy was aggressive with them. You must have done something to him. I frowned and just glared. I know it's not true, because I had talked to girls from my school who babysat, and they did this too. Her boyfriend suggests he give me a ride home, but I refused, telling him I would call my mom, which I did. I had time to put my coat, boots, and the rest of my winter gear on before she arrived. I said my goodnight and left to get in my mom's car. While driving, I told my mom everything, and I mean everything. My mom said, "Oh, P, I think you need to stop babysitting for this family." "But Mom, it's my only babysitting job that's constant." "I know, but it's obvious she's not going to pay you, and she doesn't care what her kid does to you." "But..." My mom cut me off. "You've always been too nice to people. Next time she calls, I will be the one answering." "Okay." Which happened. The next time she called, it was my mom who answered. And I'm very grateful she did. From what I gathered is this: she said I was no longer babysitting her child because he was violent with me, and she was underpaying me after being reminded of my rates. The only time she was going to talk to me was when she was going to give me the missing cash from the last 3 babysitting jobs I did for her. Did I get the missing cash? Yes. And my mom and dad were there to witness this. Mom was actually in her nurse uniform when it happened. That did make an impression for some reason. Did I babysit that kid again? Heck no. Not sure she found another babysitter. So yeah, I learned my lesson. I still babysat for another family, and they were nice to me. They also made us dog sit their dog during the summer. It was so fun. My brother and I loved this. This family was awesome and often gave us good recommendations for my brother and I. 5. So for context, I'm a Singaporean girl, on the tanner side of the Asian flavor, and my friend is the same, May. We both live in Australia, but we have noticeable accents and can fluently speak both Mandarin and English. Although where I live, COVID is currently under control, my friends and I prefer to still wear a mask on public transport as a precaution. So I usually take a tram that takes me from my school to where I live. Over the years, I have noticed a few regular people who take the same tram at the same time. A few students, a very sweet old couple, and our entitled parent and her kid. I was taking the tram as usual, but May was there as well because we wanted to do some shopping. We both entered the tram, EP and her kid and the old couple were already on the train, and we were having a quiet convo in Mandarin since we were both more comfortable with that language. About 5 minutes pass, and we both hear someone very clearly clear their throat.
Excuse me.
Both May and I were puzzled. Yes?
You girls should be speaking English. I find speaking Chinese is very offensive and distracting.
I give May a look, and she asks in Mandarin, who's this woman?
Stop it. You're going to infect my son.
Her son doesn't seem bothered at all, but watching a cartoon on her phone. Miss, we aren't bothering anyone. Could you please mind your own business?
No, I won't be tolerating you trying to poison my son with your Asian virus.
Miss, we're both wearing masks, and you should be too. Now leave us alone. We aren't infecting anyone.
No, I'm not having this.
She pulls away her phone from her kid to make a call, making her child cry, since he was still watching his show. And when she snatched away her phone, she yanked the kid's wrist. We were baffled. Asian virus? We're both wearing masks and speaking Chinese does not infect people. I don't know what kind of conspiracy theory she's smoking, but I think she needs mental help. EP at this point is pretending to make a call to the police. I know this because I can see her screen is still on while she's calling the police.
Police? Hello? Yes, there are these teenage girls who are terrorizing my son. Please get here immediately. I'm on a tram. Please hurry.
The old couple intervene at this point and try to move the lady off the tram. At some point, during her call, the tram stops, and the driver leaves his driver's seat, noticeably annoyed to speak with the lady. He told her that she was disrespecting the passengers and told her to leave.
No, these girls are not meant to be in this country. Get them off. Off!
No, ma'am, you need to get off now.
Fine. I don't want to be near these people anyway.
She didn't say people, she actually said a word that rhymes with clinks.
I hope they send you back to China where you belong.
She left with her kid, who was still crying. May and I just looked at each other and started laughing. China virus? Go back to China? It was so bizarre how some people could be so racially intolerant. I feel bad for her kid, though. The nice couple told me a few days after that she was banned from public transport in my area indefinitely because of her blatant racism and verbal assault. Won't be seeing her in my tram anymore. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to The Impractical Proudness of Parents. Ipop, episode 92. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Alright, sorry, I got distracted just thinking, oh, my voice sounds quite good today. Not bragging, it's just, something I noticed. Okay, anyway, this is Sunday, isn't it? As of when originally uploaded, of course. Days tend to change. Some of you might be wacky and listening to it on Monday or Tuesday. But not Wednesday, though. I feel like that no one will listen to it on Wednesday. Okay, let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is, how many times do you think I re-recorded this outro, changing the subject because the first one was way too heavy? Alright, seriously, fun question time now. Okay. Keep it food themed because why not? Right. What is your favorite apple dish, whether it's a sweet or a savory one? I will not judge. For me, personally, my favorite apple dish is apple crumble. Sometimes on its own, or even with custard. If it's a cold apple crumble, then with hot custard. If it's hot, then with cold custard. I'm weird, but that's kind of how I like those sort of things done. It balances out better. So let me know what your favorites are. Please leave your answer in a comment below. There we go. Okay, and with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.